since a man and a woman made a choice that darkened the universe forever. 600 since the prophet Ezekiel saw God's Holy Spirit depart from his temple, and 400 since the last prophets walked the land. Now the Spirit of God is moving again. Daniel's countdown draws to a close. Dreams, prophecies and visions tell those awaiting redemption the long-awaited hour is drawing near. Heavenly bodies move to a conjunction long predicted by the greatest minds of the earth. On this day, by lot, it is the priest, Zechariah, who will perform the burning of incense, reminding God that his people await his promised dwelling among them. Zechariah, old in the law of God, not knowing that God soon comes as his own priest. As many times before, he enters the silence of the temple, leaving the crowds outside, and in reverence he places the incense upon the altar before the great curtain. A sudden sound, a light breaks forth, a figure stands. In great fear he falls as a messenger from the Lord reveals the coming grace. A sun for the sunless man, heralding a sun to rise on a sunless land. Prophesied 2 coming sons, John, born of older Israel, and Jesus, the new righteous branch, burgeoning from Jesse's stump. Zechariah, hurrying home to his wife Elizabeth, in her once barren home, the promise of God on his lips kisses away her disgrace, as heaven graces the great line of Aaron with its greatest son.
He has taken away my shame.
And in the town of Nazareth, a young man of the line of Israel's greatest King David, himself a humble carpenter, dreams as he works of his coming marriage. He is betrothed to Mary, born of the houses of David and Aaron, innocence in heart and mind and righteous under the law. These two will become the parents of God's own priest king, the sacrifice and salvation for his people. Mary alone in her devotions, a sudden sound and light, and what is there with the radiance of heaven? A message of strange impending glory, bound with human shame. God himself will possess her womb, be born for the salvation of his people. Her own assent is the seal of grace. The Spirit is upon her, and the mysterious word becomes flesh within her. And Elizabeth's unborn child leaps in the presence of his greater new king. Mary returns home as Zechariah and Elizabeth's promised son is born.
His name is John.
When Joseph hears Mary's news, his heart and hopes are shattered. Alone with his grief, he still thinks of her, a quiet divorce, a silent suffering. But in restless sleep, a sudden sound, a light, a starry messenger calms his fears. This child is of God. 2 innocent hearts agree. The great task of God for which their whole lives have prepared them stands before them. And they hold in their arms a son born not just